And welcome everyone. In this week's episode of Numerology Quick Takes, we're going to take a look at the week of May 5th. Before we get into the forecast, this is a general forecast. If you would like your own personal numerology reading, please book some time with me. You can find my information in the description box below. I would love to work with you. Okay, so this week we're going to be working with the vibration of the 19-1. And when this comes in a cycle, it can feel really uplifting. We can feel like we're getting our mojo back. We can feel like the wind has come back into our sails, like we're getting the green lights. Things are kind of moving forward, or things are coming to completion and we're starting to see the gratification from that completion or the rewards from that completion. So it can definitely bring in this sense of obstacles being overcome, like we've reached the destination of whatever it is that we've been working on, or we have that breakthrough that we've been working towards, and that can feel really, really good. This 19 energy is known as a love vibration. And so you could see that if you're getting married this week, this is actually a beautiful energy to get married under. It can bring or it can promise, long-term commitment and good fortune. And it's just a really beautiful energy to commit to something under this energy, especially if as it pertains to love. So for those of you who aren't getting married this week, this is still a really beautiful cycle to meet someone who you just feel a strong soul connection with. It doesn't have to be a romantic partner. It can just be someone who you just connect with. You feel good in their energy. It feels like a soul connection, like a soul contract almost, like you've known this person your whole life, even though you're just running into them. So it can bring in those deep soul connections. And it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be just romantic. It can be close friends could come in at this time, people who will be pivotal in your life in some way for the long term. This can also be pets, of course, too, right? That we can have soul contracts with our pets or animal friends. And so you might be adopting this week. Beautiful energy to adopt under. You could definitely meet someone or meet a pet who you just feel that very strong connection with, soul-wise, down to the core of who you are. Beautiful energy for that. The other thing I would say, though, is this is definitely an energy that we have to take action with. So it's not like, it could be that these people or these pets find you and you just run into them type thing. But there is this sense of needing to take action, needing to put the effort in with this energy. So in other words, follow your intuition. If you're walking down the street and you suddenly get the urge for a cup of coffee and you pass a coffee shop, go in, go order the coffee because you just don't know who you're going to bump into. Or, maybe this is the time where you want to put yourself back out there and maybe join a dating app or something like that, or join some kind of a club or a meetup or something like that. Not necessarily with the intention of meeting someone or meeting your soulmate, but with the intention of putting yourself out there, of connecting with others, of opening yourself up to that exchange. Because it's through that sort of initiation on your part of, again, opening yourself up to meeting people, connecting with others, that you will likely run into someone or connect with someone who potentially has some staying power and potentially will, like I said, have some kind of greater impact in your life, whether it's in human form or, again, like a pet or something like that. But you have to kind of put yourself out there. We can't be sitting in our room and saying like, I want to meet someone and just expect that person to walk through the door. Because number one, that would be creepy as hell. Number two, it just doesn't work that way. So if you are in the space where you're like, you know what, I want to just put myself out there, I want to meet people, this is such a beautiful week to do that. And you just don't know who you're going to meet. And I would also say along those lines, be open to who you meet this week. And again, going back to the idea of pets, right? You might be someone who's always had dogs for pets. And this week you might find that someone keeps showing up on your doorstep that's a cat. And now all of a sudden you become a cat person, right? So it's that kind of energy. You just don't know who's going to present. And it could be someone who's, very different from the boxes that you've created that you want to check off. So just be open to the people who present, the connections that you make this week. But I do think, given this 19-1 energy, when you meet this person or meet this pet, you're going to know. You're going to know that this is someone who is meant to accompany you on your journey for some time. Beautiful energy here. But this could also be where this is the initiation point, right? Maybe this week you, again, put yourself out on a dating app or join a club or something like that. So maybe you're not going to make that meeting happen just yet, but you're initiating, you're putting yourself out there, you're putting in the effort. You're doing your part, so to speak, in this partnership that is between us and the universe. This is a cycle that can bring a lot of fulfillment and contentment when it comes to good fortune or material affairs. So you could, again, see things start to unfold in a way where you can see how they're working out or how they have the potential to work out. So again, it can kind of put the wind back in our sails and can give us, reignite that passion for whatever it is that we were working towards and, get us excited to jump back in. So this can be a great time for overcoming procrastination. Because again, like we're seeing, okay, we're starting to get some momentum here. We're starting to see how things are going to unfold. And so it can kind of light the fire from, within to get back on track. You could also see with this energy that, you're connecting with people again from your past. And usually, people who bring good things to your life. So past friendships or past acquaintances who maybe you haven't talked to in a while, you could rekindle that connection under this cycle, and it could lead to something really fulfilling. You could just reap the benefits of that connection and, enjoy their company. And it might require you to initiate that contact. So if there's someone who's been kind of coming in your mind and you keep thinking about this person, this would be an awesome time to reach out to them and just check in, see how they're doing. And you could rekindle something really special through that initiation. Definitely a great time for initiation. Again, with friendships, with relationships, with career, with projects, anything. This is such a great cycle to get started, to show up, to make it happen, to initiate. So great for launches, great for publishing, great for, committing to something that you want to, make happen, bring from an idea into something tangible. Great cycle for that. So if you've been thinking about starting something new, this is such a supportive energy for that. The 19-1 is about new beginnings, fresh new starts, new initiations, new ideas, planning. This is a great planning period. So getting organized, figuring out your next steps, and then starting to take those steps. This is not an idle energy. This is about taking action and showing up, putting in the effort. But then also it can be a period where you start to really reap the rewards and reap what you've sown, so to speak, from past efforts. So if there's things that you've been really putting your energy towards completing or goals that you've been moving to achieve, this could be a cycle where you start to see those really play out and you can see the rewards come in after those obstacles that you've had to overcome to reach those goals. And that can be really great. And so it could be times where, I think about like graduation, because we're in May. And in a lot of places, there's graduations in May. So perfect example, right? So you've dedicated all these years to, getting your degree. And this is a month where you're graduating, right? And for some, it might be this week that you're graduating. So again, it's like reaping those rewards, reaching that goal that you've been striving towards, that you've been pushing towards. You could definitely see some things open up for you this week around that. whether it's through rewards and accolades or just that state of achievement, right? Reaching that goal and celebrating that achievement. So definitely an awesome week for celebrations of any kind. And also, when a lot of times when you are graduating or maybe you're retiring this week or something like that, that can bring people together. And so you could, again, be reunited with people who make you feel supported and loved. And, it's just a beautiful energy for that. So definitely very much supported for new starts or, again, significant completions that could bring in new opportunities. You could find that your energy is higher this week, that you feel the drive, you feel the ambition, that, you're kind of feeling that push to step out, to be seen, to take the initiative, to speak up, right? There's a lot of one energy here with a 19-1. And so it all comes back to you and how you want to express yourself, right? How you see yourself in the world, how you express your desires, how you move towards your goals, how you set your goals, that sort of thing. And I think you'll find that the obstacles that you might have been facing up to this point could be sort of easily overcome, or the solutions could come in quite quickly. Also, if obstacles do surface this week, you might find that there's a solution to be found really quickly following that obstacle presenting. Again, you're going to have to put in the effort to overcome it, but things just tend to move a little bit easier under a 19-1 cycle. Like they kind of come together. It's almost like the universe conspires to help us to get reignited and excited about moving towards the goal, whatever the goal may be, or completing a goal, achieving a goal that we've set out for ourselves. And a lot of times with the new beginnings or the new opportunities that can present, that brings in sort of this life energizing force, right? That promotes that growth and pushes us towards that feeling of success, whatever that means to us. So again, perfect week for initiating, perfect week for getting started, for taking the risk. This is a really risk-taking type of energy, not overly impulsive. Be careful about being overly impulsive or too reactionary. Pace yourself, don't use all your fuel in the first day type of thing. But this is definitely an energy that is pushing you to take action, to take the initiative. And I think you'll be really pleased with the momentum that you get when you do that. Again, be careful about impulsivity and reactivity, because that can sort of cloud your judgment a little bit, and it can kind of create situations where you might have some cleanup on the back end. So take your time, pace yourself, but don't be afraid of taking the risk, right? When it comes to relationships, when it comes to career, anything, putting yourself out there, speaking up for yourself, whatever it may be, don't be afraid of taking the risk, because that's where you're going to see the most rewards, especially under this energy. Definitely pay attention to every opportunity that presents at this time, and don't be too quick to dismiss. I say that a lot, but sometimes we can be so quick to dismiss an opportunity because it doesn't fit the packaging that we have sort of determined that it should look like, right? So many beautiful opportunities come in very small packages, or can seem almost like a whisper. They're not always super loud. They're not always it's not always very evident about what that opportunity could produce or create within our lives. That's where the curiosity comes in. That's where the exploration comes in. And that's where we come in. So every opportunity that presents to you this week, if it's something that ignites, the intrigue, if it ignites your curiosity, take your time and explore it, because, there could potentially be a lot there for you. Also, I would say be careful about, letting self-doubt take over. There could be a lot of big opportunities that present at this time. Or again, you could be receiving a lot of recognition for effort that you've put forth. And a lot of times that's when that voice in the head comes in strongest and kind of tells us like, who are you? Like, you don't deserve this. Like, you're not capable of this. And, that self-doubt can be really loud at times. So, deconstruct the happiness vampire that is often the mental chatter and overcome that self-doubt as well as you can in order to say yes to the opportunity, or at least be curious and explore the opportunity and take the risk if that's called for. So beautiful energy here. This is definitely not a super independent energy. This is one where, it is about self and the individual, because there's a lot of one energies here, but it's also about the all and others, right? With that 9 vibration. So this is about connectivity and connecting with others in some way. And a lot of that has to do with, again, those deeper soul connections. So I just think that for a lot of people, there could be some interesting connections made this week. And you might not fully understand the impact that connection might have on you. But if you're curious and you explore and you're not too quick to dismiss, you might just be surprised, and very happily surprised, by what unfolds. So beautiful energy this week. I hope it brings you much success, many new opportunities, and lots of happy, fun new beginnings. So just remember, you're at the core of it, though. It doesn't happen without you. So I hope it's a great week. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.